What if Florence Nightingale wasn't just the lady with the lamp, but a queer icon whose legacy continues to ripple through LGBTQ history? Hi there, I'm Chris with a K, and welcome back to This Week in Queer History, where we celebrate queer moments and icons that I wish I had known about as a young gay kid growing up in conservative America. This week, we're exploring the life and impact of Florence Nightingale, not only as the founder of modern nursing, but as a deeply complex individual who defied gender expectations, fought for women's agency, and left behind an extraordinary queer legacy. Her story isn't just about selfless service, but a story of quiet rebellion, bold thinking, and emotional depth. So let's take a walk through her revolutionary life, her love, and her lasting impact.
This week in queer history, stories told with love and glee.
Florence Nightingale was born on May 12, 1820, in Florence, Italy. Yes, that's where the name comes from. She was born to a wealthy British family, raised in England, and she was part of a progressive Unitarian household that prioritized education even for girls. Her father, William Nightingale, took personal responsibility for her education, which was remarkable for the time. Florence studied mathematics, languages, philosophy, and statistics. And by the time she was a teenager, she could read and write in French, German, Italian, Greek, and Latin. So yeah, she was just a little smart. But even with her sharp intellect, her path wasn't clear until she was 16. On February 7th, 1837, she wrote in her journal that she had a divine calling from God to devote her life to helping others. And in Florence's case, that meant nursing. Sounds wonderful, right? But here's the kicker. In Victorian England, nursing was not considered a suitable occupation for upper-class women. Nurses were seen as morally suspect and low status. Think drunken caretakers and not angels of mercy. Her family was scandalized by her desire to take up the work. And still, Florence persisted. In the early 1850s, she began training at the Institution of Protestant Deaconesses in Kaiserwerth, Germany. There, she developed skills in hospital management, sanitation, and caregiving. She also worked at a women's hospital in London before the Crimean War broke out and changed her life and the entire field of nursing forever. In 1854, Nightingale was asked by the British government to lead a team of nurses to care for wounded soldiers in the Crimea. When she arrived at the military hospital in Scutari, what she found was horrifying. The hospital was overcrowded, unsanitary, and undersupplied. Death rates were sky high, more from disease than from battle wounds. So Florence got to work. She implemented sanitation protocols, organized patient care, introduced fresh food, and kept detailed records using statistical methods to track outcomes. She even invented the polar area diagram, which was an early form of a pie chart. She used this to visually demonstrate mortality causes. Her efforts slashed the death rate from 42% to just 2%. And yet it wasn't just her results that made her a legend. It was her presence. She would walk around in the middle of the night with a lamp in hand, checking on the patients. This is how she became known as the lady with the lamp. But let's zoom out. Florence Nightingale wasn't just changing medical practices. She was reshaping societal roles. Her work demanded that women be seen as capable professionals, not just as wives or caretakers, but as scientists, administrators, and leaders. She wrote over 200 books, reports, and pamphlets. Her 1859 book, Notes on Nursing, became the cornerstone text for nursing education around the world. Florence also used her growing influence to advocate for public health reforms, especially in India, where she pushed for improved sanitation and hospital infrastructure. She was a one-woman policy engine, corresponding with high-ranking government officials and using data to drive decision-making, long before evidence-based medicine became a thing. And now let's talk about her queerness. Florence Nightingale never married. That in itself was revolutionary for a woman of her time and class. Marriage was seen as a woman's ultimate purpose, but Florence refused to play that game. She even rejected multiple proposals, including from Richard Monckton Milnes, a well-regarded suitor who she claimed to love intellectually, but not physically. Her writing about the proposal is haunting. She felt marriage would trap her in a life of domesticity that would destroy her ability to do the work that she was called to do. Get on with your bad self, independent woman. Instead, she made deeply intimate relationships with women. Chief among them was Mary Clark, also known as Clarky. Their friendship began when Florence was just 17 and lasted until her death. Their letters are filled with passion, admiration, and emotional depth. While the exact nature of their relationship remains historically speculative, it's undeniable that Florence found in Mary a lifelong partner in spirit and intellect. Florence's preference for masculinity, both in how she carried herself and how she wrote about her own identity, adds another layer to this story. She often used masculine language to describe her work and her purpose. She was also deeply religious, viewing her work as a holy calling, but it's clear from her journals and correspondence that she experienced powerful emotional and possibly romantic attractions to women. These details, long omitted from traditional biographies, are now being reclaimed by queer historians who see Florence as part of our lineage, not just a great nurse, but as a queer pioneer. So how do we reconcile all of this? Florence Nightingale, the devout, the reformer, the rebel, the nurse, the queer icon. She didn't march in parades and she didn't wave rainbow flags, but she carved a life outside of the rules. She prioritized her mission over marriage, and she built a legacy of service while maintaining complex, non-conforming relationships. She dared to be something other than what the world expected, and that's why she matters to us. We are so much more than what history will claim our victories to be. When I began researching and learning about Florence, I was reminded of how beautifully rich and complex we humans are. We are more than our job titles, our accolades, or even our noblest intentions. Florence was selfless, but she was also bold. She refused to be confined. She referred to herself in masculine terms in a time when women were barely allowed into the room. She loved women deeply and unapologetically. Her complexity makes her feel real, so real to me. I think about how I want to be remembered, and I want people to say that I was kind, that I cared, that I showed up, but I realize that I can be selfish, that I'm stubborn, I'm messy, and I guess that's what makes me human too. And I've dated women once upon a time. Yes, I did too. And if someone found just that chapter of my life, would they think that they knew me or that I was straight all my life? We're all walking anthologies, and Florence was no exception, complex and beautiful. And that's what I love about her. She didn't need to pick a lane. She lived her truth, even when it didn't make sense to anyone else. She carved out space to be everything she needed to be. And in doing so, she gave the rest of us permission to do the same. She reminds me that you can change the world and make your mark without changing who you are. So what do you think? Does Florence Nightingale's story inspire you the way that it inspires me? Let me know in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, click the one popping up right over here. It's another beautiful journey through queer history. And don't forget to join the mailing list. Link is down in the description below. You don't want to miss all the other great events and icons that I send out every week. Until next time, stay strong, stay bold, and keep making history.